Assalamualaikum and good night everyone. Today I would like to discuss about Max Weber. First, I will explain about historical background. Second, about major tenets. Third, about the school benefits. Fourth, about the school valid, useful, or correct in its time. And lastly, Max Weber lasting contribution.
Okay, historical background. Max Weber, 1864 to 1920, was a highly influential German sociologist, economist, and scholar in the development of modern sociology. He was born in Erfurt into an educated family and was exposed to political discussion from an early age. Weber pursued his studies at the University of Heidelberg, focusing on history, economics, law, and philosophy. He is well known for his work, The Protestant Ethic and the Spirit of Capitalism, which link Protestant religious values to the development of Western capitalism. Weber also introduced the modern theory of bureaucracy, the concept of power traditional, charismatic, and rational legal, and the Verstein approach, which involves understanding social action through the meanings individuals attach to them. His ideas remain fundamental in sociology, public administration, and social studies to this day. Okay, now I will explain about Major Tenet Max Weber. There are 4 points in this topic, which is first, social action. Weber views society through the meaningful activities of individual because human actions are driven by intentions, values, emotion, or traditions. To understand society, we must examine the motivation behind people's behavior, not just the behavior itself. Second, Verstehen, interpretive understanding. Understanding local social behavior from the actor's own perspective. Because Weber argues that researchers must interpret the subjective meanings people attach to their actions. This helps us grasp why individuals behave in certain ways instead of relying only on external observation. Third, rationalization. Institution, uh, sorry, the process where modern society become more structured, efficient, and rule-based. Institutions such as government, law, and the economy increasingly rely on calculation, logic, and formal rules. This brings efficiency but also creates an impersonal and highly disciplined social environment. Bureaucracy, bureaucracy, lastly, bureaucracy, which is the most efficient form of modern organization according to Weber. Because bureaucracies operate through hierarchy, division of labor, written rules, and professionalism, they promote order and consistency, though they can also become rigid or overly procedural. Okay, the next content is who get the school benefit. First, government and policymaker. Weber argued that economic policies must consider society's culture, values, and social condition. This approach helped governments design realistic and socially grounded economic policies. Second is academics and social researchers. Weber introduced Verstehen, interpretive sociology, and the study of motivation behind human action. These methods help researchers understand rationally social behavior and the rise of modern capitalism. Third, the general public or society. Weber's analysis of bureaucracy contributed to more structured, efficient, and rational public institutions. This improved public service delivery and benefit everyday citizen. And lastly is modern organization and economic institution. Weber bureaucratic model helped create organization with clear division of labor, professionalism, and efficiency. His ideas influenced the development of modern administrative and economic institutions worldwide. Okay, next, we move to the next content, which is the school valid, useful, or correct in its time. The first main point in this content is validity in its historical context. Okay, A. Industrialization and bureaucracy were expanding. Weber's analysis of bureaucracy accurately described what was happening across Europe and the US. Government were becoming larger and more complex. Corporations and modern administration needed clear rules, specialization, and hierarchy. Okay. Weber, Weber's model captured this change better than earlier, more philosophical or moralistic theories of society. Okay, next, modern nation state were consolidating power. His theory of legitimate authority traditional, charismatic, ledger rational, explain why people avoid the state during a time of political upheaval, empire building, and democratization. This framework matched what observers saw in Germany, Britain, France, and the US. Okay, lastly, social science was shifting towards scientific method. Weber promoted Verstappen interpretive understanding and methodological rigor at a time when social science was still forming its identity. His approach bridged first historical study, second economics, third sociology, and fourth is political science. This made his school relevant and influential among scholars seeking a more scientific, empirical way to study society. Okay, the next point in this content is usefulness at the time. Okay, first, explaining capitalism cultural roots. The Protestant ethic and the spirit of capitalism offer a new way to explain why capitalism developed uniquely in the West. This was useful because economic historians and sociologists lack model connecting culture with economic behavior. Second, providing tools for understanding power and authority. Weber's typology of authority helped explain why charismatic leaders like revolutionary or worthy figures rose to power. Okay. Why bureaucratic authority was replacing monarchies and aristocratic rule, and how legitimacy works in modern democracies. This was especially relevant during World War One and the rise of mass politics. Okay, lastly, guiding organizational and administrative reform. Weber's work on the bureaucracy became a blueprint for civil service system, corporate management, public administration reform. Government used his logic to make institutions more predictable and efficient. And the last point in this content is how was the school correct in its time? Okay, first, its match observed social transformation. Weber's concept described real trend people were experiencing in modernization, rationalization, and secularization. Other theories like Marxism or early positivism explain some aspect but not the whole modern social structure. Okay. Second, it's provide non-ideological analytical framework. At a time of ideological conflict, liberalism versus socialism versus conservation, Weber produced a framework that were analytical, non-dogmatic, empirically grounded, empirically grounded. This allowed scholars across political views to use his concept. Okay, why this matter? For analytical, it gives scholars a way to study society without first choosing a political side which rate in a time of intense ideological polarization. For non-dogmatic, it's important because Weber's approach allows for complicity, nuance, and multiple causal factors such as unusual in an age when thinkers often sought-grain, absolute ideological system. And lastly, why it's important for empirically grounded? Because his empirical approach made sociology more scientific at a time when Marxists often argued a theory must be true because it's fit dialectical logic. Second, conservatives learn on a tradition or an philosophical principle. And last, liberal trusted rationally and progress as a moral truth. Weber insisted that theories must be grounded in actual historical, social evidence, not ideology. And the last point is it addressed both structure and culture. Weber's school integrated social structure, hierarchy, authority class, culture, meaning, values, ethics, religion. This dual approach was groundbreaking and seen as more correct than purely economic or purely cultural explanation. Okay, lastly, I will explain the last content in this topic, which is Max Weber lasting contribution. Okay, first we have culture and economic development. In the Protestant ethic and the spirit of capitalism, he showed how cultural values can influence economic system. They remains relevant in development studies and political economy. Okay, second, social action. He explained that economic outcomes are shaped by culture, belief, values, and motivation. This idea helped expand economics beyond just mathematical models. Third, methodological contribution. He rejected the idea of one universal economic law and supported historical, cooperative, cooperative and interdisciplinary methods shaping modern social science research. And lastly, bureaucracy theory. Weber introduced the concept of structure, rule-based organization to ensure efficiency and the order. This became an important framework in public administration and management. So that's all from us. Thank you.